behalf of my colleagues on the county board, all of our staff, and the people of Arlington, I want to offer our sincere condolences to Roberto's family. Although the loss we feel cannot be compared to yours, I want you to know that we do acutely feel the loss today. Roberto was a valuable member of the Arlington family, a respected professional colleague, a trusted advisor, and a good friend. Because of the work he did, Roberto had occasion to work directly with county board members and the manager's office, often in his career in Arlington. Each would tell you that he made quite an impression on them. And through that, Roberto made a tangible impression on Arlington, helping to shape its emerging built environment and improving the quality of projects that will be part of the Arlington landscape long after all of us are gone. I first met Roberto when I was on the Park and Recreation Commission, and he was with the Parks Department and worked with us on Parks Plan. Later, when I joined the county board, Roberto moved to planning and he began working on important projects that brought him frequently to the third floor. Over the years, he became, as Ron said, our kind of architect in residence, providing counsel and critique on plans and projects, both public and private. From parks to apartment buildings, from plazas to skyscrapers, Roberto helped shape the Arlington that has arisen and is continuing to arise. Though his name may not appear on them, countless structures and places in Arlington are better because of his contribution. Some of them are not yet built, so the full extent of that contribution is still to come. For the last several years, as Ron mentioned, Arlington has had an initiative to raise the quality of architecture and design in our county. We've been building a lot in Arlington, and we want it to be better. Roberto has been a key part of that effort from the very beginning, or maybe I should say even before. In a way, he was working on it before we knew we had an architecture initiative. For Roberto, the quest for quality wasn't just a job, it was a mission. He had a passion for good design, and he wanted others to share it. Inside Courthouse Plaza, Roberto became an advocate, a champion, with developers, staff members, elected officials. He pushed us project by project. He talked about materials and spaces and light. He didn't win every battle, but he continually showed courage in pressing for better. Roberto campaigned to raise our standards, pleading, urging, arguing, educating. Many of us learned from his passionate advocacy. He made his passion our passion. Over the years, he educated me, an economist by training, in the elements of good urban design. He offered up examples. He related what he had just heard at some conference. He shared articles, pictures, and books, which I did eventually return. He shared experiences and ideas, which I kept. I remember him early in my tenure on the board, showing me what was being done in Barcelona to reclaim the city from cars. I remember him trying to show how something recently done in New York could inform the then proposed Point building by the Boston Commons Mall, or rather, the space between the buildings. I remember him helping to ensure that what will be the tallest building ever constructed in the National Capital Region will be worthy of its prominence when it rises over the Roslyn Metro Station. Looking back, it's kind of like I had a seminar in multiple parts over the last 2 decades with Professor Moranchel. I can't say whether I learned all the lessons well, but I know that he has had a profound effect on my thinking. I am sure he has made my work better. Our architecture initiative gave him a great chance to facilitate the education of a larger class. Roberto brought enthusiasm to the development of our series of public forums, which was kicked off by a stimulating discussion with a renowned architect whose participation was owing to Roberto. I will never forget the evening with Enrique Norton, not just the lecture, but the dinner afterwards. Roberto facilitated the conversation, the connection between people, the creative dynamic among experts, staff, and citizens. Roberto brought that passion to other things he worked on as well, even outside the duties of his job description. One of his contributions to Arlington involved the establishment of our second sister city, the Delegación of Coyoacán in Mexico. I had the good fortune to participate along with Roberto in the group that made the first official visit in 1996, when the papers were signed. Jim Hunter was our board chair at the time, and he led the delegation. Roberto, we all enjoyed ourselves, but Roberto worked the whole time. With characteristic enthusiasm, he made the most of of the unique position he was in as a member of the Arlington staff and a native of Mexico, to make the most of the experience for us. He played multiple roles: planner, advance man, ambassador, tour guide, interpreter. Roberto did everything possible to open doors for those of us from his adopted home visiting his homeland, and to build bridges between our communities. Many lasting friendships were formed, quite a few of them with Roberto himself. Another passion that I was able to share with Roberto was football. For years, the only soccer I could watch on TV was the broadcasts of Univision of the Mexican League, so I followed pretty closely. So when we first got to know each other, Roberto found, I'm sure to his surprise, that I knew about Chivas and Pumas and Atlante, that I was a fan of La Máquina Cementera, and that we could talk extensively about what was going on in current standings and players, about what Hugo Sanchez was going to do next, and when the coach of El Tri would be fired, and of course about our respective national teams, for which we had a friendly rivalry, especially around World Cup time. I'm glad he continued to talk to me after the 2002 round of 16 game in Korea. Last year, after Roberto returning from a trip from Mexico, I found in my office a Cruz Azul jersey. We'll miss Roberto terribly, but the impression he made on our community will be lasting, even for many people who may never know his name. I was lucky to know him, and I will have many occasions to think of him. I'll think of Roberto whenever I hear discussion of the transformation of cities into livable places. I'll think of Roberto when I pass by the Point building in Boston and see the space between two buildings. I'll think of him when I look at the Roslyn skyline someday when Central Place is finally completed. I'll think of him this afternoon at the groundbreaking of the Long Bridge Park. And I'll think of him whenever U.S. plays Mexico. Again, on behalf of Arlington, our sympathies to the Moranchel family. Roberto gave much to our community. Thank you for sharing it with us.